Welcome to NEPIRC's version of ISO 9001-2015. This is an overview. This is something that we're going to do quickly. It's only going to be about an hour. A normal ISO 9001 overview would take 4 hours. Training would take about 16 hours. So what you're going to see today is a really high in the sky overview of 20 pages of this document. When you think of ISO 9001, you're thinking that's the quality department. I don't know much about it. That's something they do. In all reality, it's not a large document. If you take out the annex, it's only 20 pages long. This huge document controls your entire policy, quality management system, implements how you're supposed to run your company and make your process better. I've broken this down. We're going to talk for a little bit. We're going to have a question and answer session at the end, and let's get going. We're going to start with the process approach. Pillars of your quality system. This is everything that makes your quality system work. This is everything that maintains your quality system. This is everything you need to run your business in a successful way for your customers. Management, commitment, and involvement is very important. You must have everyone involved to maintain the system. All managers have to know about the system, be trained on it. Customer focus and satisfaction is very important. Focus the entire system on creating a good product, but also reach out to the customer to make sure the product is exactly what they want and they are satisfied. We're going to have measurable objectives and targets for quality. You need to have an objective in place to see where your product should be. And we're going to come back and check it all over again. People and departments work together for a common goal. You have customers, external customers, and internal customers. The other department is your actual internal customer. You've got to make sure everyone's working together. Problem correction is the best part about your quality system. When a problem comes up with your product or your services or your process, you need to find out a way how to make it better. Risk assessment. If I make this product wrong, if I make this product different, how much is it going to affect the customer? Performance measurement analysis and continual improvement. My favorite one, continual improvement. That's around 10, a couple clauses that comes up in this short document. That's the most important one, that continuously come back and make it better, which you'll see in this graphic why I have the circles going round and round and round. Process approach. You're going to see figure 1 in the ISO 9001 document, which you should be able to get this document from your company. If you are an ISO 9001 company, you should be able to ask for a copy of this and view it. It's usually a controlled document. There are versions out there on the internet you could see, but you can't own them. To purchase this document, it's $173. It's sort of a controlled document by ISO. So process approach. You can apply this diagram to any system or service, any company that's making a product or a service. I've added some colored font up top there to help explain it a little bit better. Up top we have sources of input, which is your customer. Your customer is requesting a service or a product. This is what I want. You have your materials to make that. In manufacturing, which NEPIRC is all about, materials would be, your metals, your wood, your machines, whatever it would take to your resources to make that product. And this is your activities. This is where all the magic happens. This is your entire process. We're going to measure it from start to end. And this is everything that happens to make that product. In manufacturing, say you're making tables, it would be wood shop. It would be the metal part for the hinges maybe on a folding table. Products, these are your outputs. You're making the product and you're measuring all of your outputs, your services and your decisions on how to make these. Customers, again, full circle. The customer is getting your receiver of your outputs, and you're going to let them know, are we good? Did you like our material? Do we need to change it? And it keeps coming back. The bottom section here is control. Control is very important when it comes to quality management system. The entire process has to have controls in place where we're checking every part of this step. Activities here, manufacturing of those wood tables. How do I make it? How do I cut it? How do I check it for quality? And all these controls will be in place to check check all these. Our next section, process approach. This is figure 2 of ISO 9001. There's not many figures in here. It looks complicated, but it's really not. We have a complete circle again. This is the PDCA cycle. Plan, do, act, check. Check, act. It's going in a complete circle. You have leadership in the middle. These are the ones, the leaders are the ones that are going to control the entire system. You have everything from the president of the company, top managers, shift leaders. Everyone is in place to make sure that everyone is following these processes. It is not rules and regulations saying you must do this. It is how you make your company successful. It is how you follow the flow chart to make sure the customer gets what they need out the door. The reason your ISO 9000 verified, is certified, is the fact that I want to buy from them because I know they're going to follow the rules that they created. They're going to follow to make sure the product that I want is going to be produced. You can also see it in here in the process approach. If you're ever going to, when you're pulling this up, the one you're going to give the company, if you're unsure about what to do, I don't understand this chart. These little clauses are written right here. Numbers in the brackets are the clauses. You can actually turn to the clause and check it out and see what we need to do. The PDA cycle can be briefly described as follows. We're going to plan out what we're going to create, establish the objectives of the system and its processes, and the resources needed to deliver results in accordance with the customer's requirements. It's not very hard to understand that. This is what the customer wants. This is what the plan you're going to create. Then you're actually going to do it. You're going to implement what was planned, following all your current controls. You're going to check and monitor the process all along the way. You're going to measure all applicable areas, processes resulting in products and services against policies, objectives, requirements. And act. Act is the most important part in this because you're going to act on all those improvements. You're going to act on what you found in the check process. Plan the product, do the work, check it out, find something wrong, act. Plan the product again in a new way with everything you learned from the last time you did it. And it's a continuous circle. This is how you make your company better, by following these steps. Here's a simple process approach. Simple little design. Process approach applies systematic definition and management of processes and their interactions so as to achieve the intended results in accordance with the quality policy and strategic direction of organization. Sounds pretty boring, but it's not. It's very simple. Here's a really good example. I'm going to make cookies. I have raw dough. I put it on a cookie tray. Now, what do I do with it? Well, I have to put it in the oven. Okay, now it's in the oven. How long do I put it in the oven? And then here's my end product. Did that work? Is this product, did I overcook it? Well, then I need to change the time. Well, the time didn't work. Well, then I need to change the temperature. Well, the temperature didn't work. Well, then I need to change what I cooked it on. And it keeps going around and around and around until you get your good product. And you come up with a good standard way. The same thing you'd see on the back of a box of cookies. Management of the processes in the system as a whole can be achieved by using the PDCA, Plan, Do, Check, Act methodology with an overall focus on risk-based thinking aimed at preventing undesirable outcomes. Okay, I am creating my cookies. I don't use the same cookie tray as I used last time. I'm using an aluminum one versus a steel one. That's going to affect the product. You have to think about the risk and how it's going to change your end of your product. Quality management system, sometimes referred to QMS in the ISO 9001 document. The process approach enables understanding and consistency in meeting requirements. The consideration of processes in terms of value added. Value added is important. Are you doing something to help the product? Are you doing something to help the customer? Is it improving the product? If it's a step that you do not need, that is determined as a non-value added step. Value added is very important. Achievement of effective process performance and improvement of processes based on evaluation of data and information. So again, it's a full circle. This entire system is a full circle. So, again, ISO 9001, 2015 requirements, latest revision. If you open this up, it just looks like an index to a book, and it's very short clauses, and there's not a lot of information here. And that is by design. It is not meant to paint you into a corner. It is to help you establish a system for your company. It's very short, 20 pages. Now, normally what we would do is spend a long time on each section, and NEPIRC has classes for that. But this specific one, we're just gonna highlight each section quickly. So clause 4 is where everything starts off. 4.1, understanding the organization and its content, internal and external issues. Organization needs to determine external and internal issues that are relevant to its purpose and strategic direction. External content could include legal, technology, market, culture, social, etc. Internal content could include values, culture, knowledge, and performance. Basically what that means is what is affecting your product. Is it happening inside your company or externally? Is something happening with the social climate that's going to change how your product is produced? 4.2, understanding the needs and expectations of interested parties. Next, the organization needs to determine the interested parties that are relevant to the quality management system and determine the needs and expectations of those interested parties. So again, who's requiring your product, who's requiring your service, and how is that going to affect your quality management system? 4.3, determining the scope of the QMS. The scope is important. That is a vital part of the quality manual, and it defines on how far the QMS extends within the company's operation. A quick example of that one would be preventative maintenance in a facility. If you think about it, a quality manager is in the maintenance department where it's all grease guns and welders. What's he doing there? Why is he there? What does that have to do with the product? Well, the idea is if the machines aren't running good, the quality is going to be bad. If there's a certain machine that lifts a product and moves it, and they're not doing the maintenance on it, maybe that part that touches the product is scratching the product or leaving a dent on the product. Well, what you do is you create a PM for that, preventative maintenance. That product or that machine needs to be checked so it doesn't damage the quality. So you create a PM and you write it out and it must be checked once a month. If that's not being done, you got a bad quality product. Now, your scope of your quality management system is deeper into the company. As you go, you'll find out the quality management system almost reaches every part of your company, every organization, everything there. Could even reach your human resource department. If you don't have enough people on staff to create the product in a safe and proper way, you're not going to have a good product. 4.4, quality management system and its processes. Organizations shall establish, implement, maintain, and continually improve a quality management system, including the processes needed and their interactions in accordance with the requirements of this international standard. So that comes down to continually improve your quality management system. What you have to do is constantly look for ways to make it better. And by it, I don't mean the standards, and I don't mean your QMS. I mean the actual product itself. If you find out that one time we did it this way and it was better, that's the new way, and you need to create a new process for that. Pretty simple. Leadership is very important. Clause 5. 5.1, the emphasis of Clause 5 is on leadership, not just management. Top management have to make sure that the requirements of the management system are integrated in the organizational business process and that the policy and objectives are compatible with the strategic direction and context of the organization. They also have to demonstrate their commitment by making sure that the management system achieves the intended results. So, you've been in a company, you see this policy, quality policy hanging up on the wall. You don't really know anything about it, especially if you don't work there, but most manufacturing facilities have there. If you actually read the policy, and you should read the policy if you're an employee of the place, it will tell you what you need to do to create a good product and that everybody is on the same page. It is your mission statement almost. It is saying that this is what we're going to do, and this is how we're going to keep this place, the customer happy. So you have to focus on it. The quality policy is the cornerstone document of the QMS system. It has to be appropriate or suitable for each organization. By that I mean you can't copy and paste. You can't start a new company and go, I don't have a quality policy, I'm going to reach out to another company and just copy and paste theirs and then we're good to go. That's not good because it may not be specific towards your organization. You need to make sure all your objectives are in there and everything you want to do with the company, including organizational roles and keeping everybody in the proper positions. Here's some examples of quality policies. They're all different. I've read these before. They're all different, specific. Some are services, quality policies for services, not actual product. A lawyer's office is a service. IT is a service. You call them, they get into your computer, they do what they have to do. A product is someone who makes wooden tables or machines and whatnot. So every policy is going to be different. Quality policy is important because it expresses management commitment to ensure customer quality and satisfaction is very important, and is the basis for quality communication inside the company. You can't just go out there and tell people you have to do this. Well, why do I have to do it? Because I'm following the policy. Oh, it's part of our mission statement. It's what we have to do for the company. So clause 6, planning. 6.1, actions to address risk and opportunities is where this is done. The entire point of this entire clause is the what, who, how, and when. What is going to happen? Who is going to do it? How is it going to get done? And when is it going to get done? It has to be addressed. Who's going to involve this stuff? 6.1, actions to address risk and opportunities. The external and internal issues and the needs and expectations of interested parties will help to determine the risk and opportunities for the organization to grow and to address these. You have to ensure, management has to ensure the QMS achieves its intended outcome. So they have to put everyone in the right positions. They have to make sure that we're constantly meeting to move our objectives forward. Quality objectives. 6.2, organizations shall establish quality objectives and relevant functions, levels, and processes. Quality objectives have to be consistent with the quality policy, to be measurable, and to take into account applicable requirements. Measurable is the important one because you have to know. Did it get done? Yeah, it got done. How did it get done? I don't know. I just know it got done. Well, what time did it get done? I don't know. You need to have documentation throughout the whole process of how it got done, who did it, and what the next step is to improve it. Planning of changes, 6.3, is also very important. You just don't make a change. You can't just say, oh, this is the new way we're doing it, and spread the word. You have to, changes must be carried out in a planned manner. Organization must consider what the change is and its potential consequences, how it will maintain the integrity of the QMS during the change, what resources will be needed, and what responsibilities authorities will need to allocate it, or reallocate it to make sure the results of these changes are positive. Resources and support, clause 7. 7.11 is the general organization must determine and provide resources for the QMS. So, you got a new company, you're up and running, you're making a great product, cardboard boxes. Where's your quality department? Well, we want to get ISO certified and we have everything else in place. Well, you don't have everything in place because you don't have a quality department. You need a quality manager. You need policies. You need resources. You need trained people, 7.12. The organization must provide personnel for the QMS and processes. You can't hire anybody to be a quality manager. They have to have training. Same thing goes for inspectors and operators on the floor. If you put them in place and they don't have the training, then you must have a system set up to train them. You must have documents. Please come in here, get some training, spend a couple of hours on the floor with a senior operator. We have steps in place, watch these videos. Now you know how to do it. You have to have verification for that. Infrastructure is very important. Believe it or not, you have to be ISO certified, have to have infrastructure. You have to have buildings and hardware. You gotta have lights, you gotta have heat. You gotta be able to maintain the product. You can't make those wooden tables and leave them out in the yard. You've gotta have ability to make sure they're good and all that. The same thing goes for 7.14, environment for the operation of the process. The organization is required to determine, provide, and maintain factors such as physical, social, psychological, temperature, humidity, and conformity of the products and services. So you can't have a terribly negative workforce and still make a good product. 7.15, monitoring and measuring resources. These need to be determined, provided to ensure valid and reliable results when monitoring and measuring is used to verify conformity with the products and services. What I mean by that is, do you have a calibration system? Do you have the right tools? Do you have the right instruments to measure that device? And is it repeatable? Or, I'm sorry, that product. Here's a good one. This is my favorite of class 7, organizational knowledge. You can see my gentleman I have down there. He's very unhappy. He just quit. He's walking out. He's got a logo on his box there that says share. He's taking all his knowledge with him. He's been there for 20 years. He doesn't like management. He doesn't like the way that the place is running. He got a better job. He's leaving. Did he document? Did the QMS system document every step of his knowledge? Does anybody know how to do his job? You need to protect that. Possibilities include employees passing on their experience from completed projects or failures to their colleagues in the style of lessons learned. I don't know how to do that. Tom knew how to do it, and he left. He's no longer here. Employees leaving the company or refusing to share their experience and know-how represent a major risk of loss of knowledge. I'm sure if you're in the manufacturing environment, you've seen that everywhere. No one knows how to do that. No one wrote it down, and that is a failure of your quality system if you're not writing these things down. Clause 7.2, support and competence. Competence, the organization must determine the competence of the persons under its control. I know a lot of people might joke that they don't know what they're doing. That person in that position doesn't know what they're doing, but he's there for a reason. He has the training and he has the knowledge. Competency needs to take into account appropriate education, training, or experience, retain documented evidence of competence. That's not just saying I showed up with my master's degree and I'm an expert in quality and I'm going to be your quality manager. That is also evidence of training for the production employees, for anybody that has anything to do with the QMS system. They sign up for training. You make sure that this person can't run this machine until they have this training. You have to document all that training. Communication. Communication it can be a tough one. 7.4, communication. The management system will have certain relevant information that the organization determines is essential for internal and external communication. Okay, so this day and age we have electronic boards everywhere. NEPIRC has them too, and there's a lot of information that's up there. Some facilities have some fun information. There's a flower sale going on, and this Halloween we're selling pumpkins out back by the shipping department and whatnot. That's communication about activities. If your communication person, you send it to her and say, please put this on the board here, and it says product failures and whatnot, who is that coming from? Is that coming from the communications department, or is that coming from the quality department? It's very important to distinctly put them separately. If you're going to go that aisle of using all those boards, which is great, make sure you put a quality logo next to it. Make sure you let them know that this is legitimate. This is coming from the quality department. This isn't just because it's on the board next to the pumpkins on sale. It's legitimate. 7.51, general statement: QMS shall include two types of documented information. Documented information required by this international standard should be documented effectiveness of the qualitization and the actual organization. You have to let them know where we're at. Are we being effective? Do we have failures? Do we have failure rates? Do we have returns? Do we have anything that's going wrong with the product that we need to let everybody know about? And that falls under communication also. Creating and updating. When creating and updating, 7.52, the information organization shall ensure appropriate identification and descriptions, formatting, and specific to the media. By that I mean if you're creating a procedure, if you're creating a reject, you have to have your quality system set up. You have to have your logo. You have to have something that says revision, that this is for the quality system, and this is specific to the quality system, and it's a controlled document, and it can't be left lying around. And that's the final one, control of documented information. Documented information shall be controlled to ensure it is available and suitable for use and adequately protected as applicable to the organization and address the distribution and storage. By that, I mean protected documents. If you need to share a new revision and you need approval, lock it up. Don't put it out on a network drive where someone can go in there and change it. It must be under lock and key. Maybe only have the quality department access to that files. If it's printed out, it should say not a controlled document if it's not controlled. You need to put everything under lock and key as far as editing. As far as sharing and knowing how, everyone should know. You should have a quality system. You should have a folder on your network drive. You could have an ERP system that you could pull it down where you could say, I know how to do my job. I could simply look it up. The joke of, I don't know, Google it. It's the same way for quality system for years. I don't know, look it up. Go figure out how to do it. Clause 8, operations. Operational planning and control, 8.1. Planning, implementation, and control of processes need to meet requirements to provide products, services, and to implement actions determined to address risk and opportunities. So again, changes must be controlled. You have a revision 1. This is how you load a pallet onto a truck. You take the forklift, you go over there, you pick it up, you put it on the truck. Make sure your safety steps are all followed, yada, yada. Now someone says, well, we're going to change that. We don't have a forklift anymore. Well, what do you mean we don't have a forklift? We have a side loader now. It's a different machine. It's bigger, and it can lift more, and it can lift higher in the air. You now need to revise that document. You need to change that document. That's just maybe a poor example, but you need to change that document so it reflects the new process, the new equipment. What worked 10 years ago might not work now. The process has changed. Now, revision 2 of that document, and it's controlled. It's a new process. If someone prints out an uncontrolled document or revision 1, and you have it laying it out somewhere, and someone else is going to see that, they're going to see that they're going to follow the wrong procedure, perhaps. 8.21, customer communication. Again, it comes back to what we said of PDCA, the full circle. Organization must have processes for communicating with customers about products, services, inquiries, contracts, etc. That could be simple as a quoting an order. Customer calls and says, can you make 10,000 tables? Yeah, well, let me check. And I'm going to send you a document. I'm going to send you a control document. It's got a PDF on it. It's got my logo on it. It's got the price. It's got everything. And I'm communicating it via email with you. That's something sometimes you work out with your customer, where you tell them how you're going to be communicating with them, and you have to document it in your QMS system. An example of that where something can go wrong is, well, I didn't know. I placed the order, and they didn't tell me that they were going to make changes on it. Well, the specifications may have changed. Maybe the communication wasn't followed up on. Maybe there was no communication at all, and it was just a phone call, and it wasn't properly documented. New specifications may come out from the customer, and you don't follow them. Where we go? Customer 8.22, determination of requirements for products and services. There must be processes for determining requirements of products and services to be offered to the customer, ensuring the organization can meet its claims. Can you make this? Yeah, I can make it. Well, how can you make it? We could just make it. But you need to tell them how you can make it. You could tell them your process. You could show them documentations that you've made it before. Bring them on a company tour. Show them some information. Sometimes customers like to do a little audit before they want to order your material to make sure you can actually follow through what you say you're going to do. Review requirements for products. 8.24. Let's jump down to that. Changes to requirements of products and services. A lot of this stuff you're going to see, it's repetitive. It seems like it's repetitive. But there's clauses in here for a reason. Last clause, the organization must ensure documentation is amended and relevant persons must be aware of changes for requirements for product services. That is what I was saying about updating the documents. Customer always ordered this table. It was always this length. It was always this size. And you see the name on the, Ajax tables. Oh, they want tables, we're going to make them that way. Maybe the customer called a week prior and said, oh, we now want that table 2 inches higher. We've changed our design, and we want it brown instead of yellow. Okay, no problem. I'll make sure I tell the guys on the production floor. I didn't tell them. I didn't update the bill of lading. I didn't update the bill of materials. They don't know. They're making the bad product. No, it's not the customer's fault, and that product's probably not going to be shipped. You hope it's not going to be shipped. However, now you have wasted material, and that's not good for your company. It's not good for product. You made all this material because someone didn't follow the steps and processes of the quality system. So this is Mr. Deming. He was quoted as saying, innovation comes from the producer, not the customer. So this is all about new product. Perhaps you suggest to the customer, hey, listen, we can make this product a little bit better for you and us. I could save money, I could shave cost if we tweak this, this, and this. And you go back to the customer and they're like, yeah, that doesn't matter to us, and if it's going to reduce costs, sure, great, we don't mind the design change. This is the entire section on design, 8.3. Clause 8.31 requires a design and development process that are appropriate to ensure subsequent production of service provisions. So let's get going with 8.32, design and development planning. It's broken down in each sections. You see I'll highlight it there to make it stand out a little better. 8.32, complexity, review, testing, who's going to do it, the resources, and the customers get involved. So we're going to plan out this change. Well, how are we going to do it? Well, we're going to make the table, wider now because it fits in our trucks easier or whatever. We're going to use, instead of using stainless steel bolts, we're going to use just regular steel bolts. And we're going to save money, and it doesn't matter. Original design didn't really even call for it, but somehow we contribute that to the cost. So you're going to plan it out. The inputs, 8.33, function, performance, requirements, consequences of failure. All right, what happens if we do use carbon steel? Well, sometimes these tables do sit outside and they get rusty. Well, maybe we shouldn't use carbon steel then. Stainless steel may be the good way to go to hold the table together. That is an option and a risk that you may consider for failure. 8.34, design and development controls. Can you control it with reviews, verifications, problem solving, and are you capturing the record of this? Capturing is important. You have to document every process, every step. That's a great thing about technology. Today you have all these computers, ERP systems, gone are the days where you're printing out work orders and saving these boxes in a warehouse for 10 years. You need to, because of your quality system said you had to. With ERP systems now, it's all electronic. You can put it in there, you're good to go. 8.35, does the new design meet the requirements? Can it be manufactured? Yeah, we can make it. Yeah, we can make it. Well, how could you make it? I don't know, I just know we can make it. No, show me how you can make it. Well, we're going to change this design. Oh, wait, we can't do that because the machine won't go that wide. So you need to start thinking about proving that you can actually make the machine. That's where trial runs come in. 8.36, design and development changes. Again, goes back to control. Seek and record evidence that you have made changes. The results of the reviews of these changes, who authorized them, and actions to perform adverse impacts. Who authorized it? Who decided they're going to do this? Quality department. Did they talk to engineering? No, the quality department said we could make it. Did they talk to the process guys? No. Did you talk to the owners of the process out there? Well, yeah, I guess we should. So you need to authorize, have it signed off by each department that yes, we can make these changes. Don't do them on your own. 8.4, control of externally supplied products and services. We must ensure externally provided processes, products, and services meet requirements. Apply criteria to evaluate, select, reevaluate, and monitor performance of external providers. A lot of that has to do with someone's giving you a product for years. You're buying these supplies from the stainless steel company or stainless steel bolt company. They're making these stainless steel bolts. You never change the processes. They just keep coming. They just keep coming. If you're not auditing, if you're not checking those and seeing to make sure they are up to spec, maybe they got to send you a sample report on a tensile test when they pulled it and snapped it. Maybe there's a corrosion test. Maybe there's a crush test. Maybe so often they have to send you some report because their quality may drop and you may not even know it. And it's affecting your product and it's affecting your customer and it's going straight through. The organization must retain documentation of the actions arising from these evaluations, which means if they're sending you sample reports, you got to save them. You got to sit on there because in 6 months, when you get to the bottom of that bucket of bolts, there may be an issue, and you can go backwards and track it. We'll get onto that more the next slide, I believe, with traceability. Controls will be determined and applied to external providers and their output. Organization must assure it communicates complete and accurate information to external providers. So, clause 8.5. Control of production and service provisions. The organization needs to conduct the production service provisions under controlled conditions as they may apply. Environments controlled such as lighting, temperature, humidity, all that must be good. Personnel have to be competent to perform their jobs, actions taken to prevent human error. 8.52 is what I was talking about on the last slide, identification traceability. Those box of bolts that came in, they got a part number on them. The box that they came in has a barcode on them. And it says on there where they came from and the date and the lot number. 6 months later, you get to the bottom of the box and you start having a problem. What do? Throw them away? Well, it's affected my customers. Maybe it's a medical device, and you really got to trace it back. So your work orders are on there. You have the traceability for the company, and you go backwards through the chain. Same thing for your product that must be traceable. Where are we at? 8.53, property belonging to customers and external providers. Exercise care with this property while under organization. Control, identify, verify, protect, and safeguard the property. Say you work sort of off a liquidation type thing where they're dumping stuff on you, but you don't own it. It's sitting there. Well, if you're not taking care of it, it's going to cost them and cost you. 8.54, preservation, preserve outputs during production and service provisions to ensure conformity to requirements. You have to protect your material, your data, your information about how you made it, how it was done, who did it, and what machine it was created on. 8.55, post-delivery activities. The organization must meet requirements for post-delivery activities related to products, services. Examples can include warranty provisions, maintenance, recycling, disposal. So we have our fun little IT guy over here. So you make a product, and you have to make sure that you have a post-delivery activity. Well, I made a projector, and that's it. I made a projector. You bought it. Leave me alone. No. You need to have an 800 number on the bottom where they can call and tell you, I need parts. It broke. I need service. I need help. I need technical knowledge. You can't just sell a product if you're going to be under this standard. You have to be able to have something you can give and something you can give back and back and forth to help these people with their products. Traceability and helping them. 8.7, control of non-conforming outputs. Ensure outputs that don't conform to requirements are identified and controlled. What does that mean? That means your reject pile. Control of non-conforming outputs. That means your reject pile, your scrap pile, does not get mixed in with the stuff you want to ship. You create tables. You got the stainless steel bolts. You realize there's a problem with the stainless steel bolts and they're not holding and they're stripped out. That is now scrap or reject or even rework. Do not mix it in with the products you're trying to ship. Make sure it's tagged. Make sure there's a sticker on it. Make sure it's spray painted. Some people even go as far as cutting them up and getting rid of them. Because during busy times when things are going around, someone may grab the bad product and slip it in with a good product. And now you got a bad product going out the door. Must control your information. Organization has to determine Clause 9, performance evaluation. It's a fun one. The organization has to determine who is going to monitor and measure in terms of process outputs, products and services, and the performance and effectiveness of the quality management system as a whole. They have to ensure the methods used provide reliable information. So basically that means you're going to go back there and check the system out over and over again and make sure we're all following the rules. Sort of like an audit, but not an audit. I don't want to get people scared. Customer satisfaction. Some of the most important monitoring an organization does is respect to the customer satisfaction. Surveys, it's a popular word in my line of business, where the organization must also determine the methods to obtain and monitor and review the information. So, is the customer happy? Did you get what you wanted? Can we change it? Can we modify it? Was the quantity good? Was the delivery time good? Was everything about it you liked? Did you like the color? And you have to constantly talk with the customer on that. 9.13, analysis and evaluation. The organization needs, I'm sorry, I lost my place there. The organization needs to analyze and evaluate the monitoring and measuring data in order to show the above information is correct, customer satisfaction, and generally. Internal audit. Organization must establish an audit program. That's the scary one, Ray. Organization must establish an audit program including frequency, methods, responsibility, planning, reporting of the documents. You have to check if you're doing things correctly in a documented way. Who's doing it? What are they doing? Why are they doing it? Are they following every step of not this, but your quality management system? You go out to the operator on the floor and you say to them, all right, can you show me an example of this procedure at this workstation? Sure, here we go. How did you know how to do that? Well, it's in this procedure right here. It says here you're supposed to take samples. Where are your samples? My samples are right here. Is the work order number written on them? Yes, the work order number is written on them. All right, good job. You followed every single little process. If you found something wrong, you're not screaming and yelling at the person. You found a weakness in your system. That's a good thing because you're going to reinvent the wheel, or not reinvent the wheel. You're going to just keep checking it over and over again. I found you didn't write the work order on there. I didn't know I had to write the work order on there. Where does it say that on there? He didn't know. Now you go back to your auditor's team and you say, well, it's not highlighted good enough, or it doesn't reference it in all training. It's only really small print in that one document. Let's change the process. Let's have some training awareness. Have him sign off on it. Now he knows. You're improving the process the whole way. And that's what audits are about, not finding blame and not pointing the finger. 9.3, management review. The goal of management review is to ensure the continual suitability, accuracy, and effectiveness of the QMS system. And it's documented. Brian was out doing an audit. He found Joe wasn't writing the work order information on there. You bring that up in the management review meeting. Really? Why didn't he? And this is the idea we came up with. We're going to make these changes. Great. In the management review meeting, you must document that you brought this up. So next management review meeting, you say, hey, did they ever take care of that problem? Oh, no, we never did. That's another failure. You must constantly recycle this stuff, the information, to make sure everyone is trying to make it better. And finally, we're at clause 10. I'm not quite done with my presentation, but this is the clauses that we're going to get through. Improvement. Examples of improvement can be correction, correlative, correction, action, continuous improvement, breakthrough change, innovation, and reorganization. 10.2, nonconformity and corrective action. Organization must first make a correction, which is defined as an action to eliminate a detected nonconformity. Example, with the samples not being, with the work order not being written on the samples. You have to come up with a quick fix to make sure it's not going to happen again. Organization must then evaluate the need for action so that nonconformity does not reoccur elsewhere. And that's on what 10.3, continual improvement. 10.3 is the engine that keeps your QMS running. Continual process improvement. That is very important. You work in a process improvement department. You have the operators come in, you have the manager come in, you even have the quality person come in and say, what's going on? We can't figure out why this product is making a defect. And you go through it and you search and you have all the knowledge of all these years of all these machines, and you find this one machine is creating a defect, and you know why it's creating a defect. It's got a sharp edge on it. It's digging into the wooden table. All right, fantastic. I fixed it. You don't just walk away. You put that into the quality system. Well, not that particular machine. You create a preventative maintenance program for that machine to make sure that never happens again. Now, the same operators who run the machine during downtime, they have a PM, and they go, oh, I got to check to make sure there's no sharp edge. Continuous improvement. Now, you can put that into the QMS system, and it's constantly getting checked on. The quality operator, or the internal audit, and the quality people, they're not going to do that PM. They're going to make sure the PM is done. And they're going to give someone a corrective action if it's not done. And that constantly makes it better, makes your whole system better. You could have a smooth running company and a smooth running system for 10 years, and then one new product comes along, and it's going to throw everything out of whack. And you've got to get in there and keep checking it, make sure it's all running smoothly. Why do we need quality? What is important about quality? It's not just that we want a good product and make a lot of money. What are the drivers, the procedures, and is there value added? And can you make money on it? Why quality? Customers expect improved service at less cost. Well, how? How can I give you a good quality product and cost less? Because your QMS system is going to constantly improve upon itself. And you're going to constantly find non-value added steps that are going to make your system better. Make it cheaper, make it easier to run, which lowers your costs, which you pass off to the customer. Markets demand higher performance using fewer resources, like I just said. Business owners and shareholders need to protect against loss. You don't want to lose customers because your prices are high. Employees and communities expect a quality workplace. You don't want to go somewhere that makes a bad product. You don't want to go. Managers need to spend more time managing the business, less time managing the latest crisis. Example, that one machine was scratching the table. I did nothing about it. I went out there and I fixed it and I walked away. 6 months later, I'm in the office and I hear there's a scratch on the table again. I go, oh, and you're constantly going out there and trying to fix it because you never put a process and step as a manager. Does quality pay? Yes, it does. You can see my nice little logos over there of nice quality products. Mercedes, Cadillac, Rolls-Royce, Apple, and Porsche. Why do we pay so much for them? Because they're high quality products. They are very well made products. I just threw on cars. I couldn't think of anything else. some purses maybe and whatnot. But surveys have conclusively proven that companies using a formal and strategic approach towards quality management systems outperform the industry sectors in profitability, which is very, very true. Outperform the industry sectors in shareholder value. Enjoy higher levels of customer satisfaction and loyalty. Customer gets a good quality product, they're going to keep coming back. Experience reduced operating costs and enjoy lower rates of staff turnover. Again, people working in a good system, less confusion, less problems, are going to continue to stay there with you because it's a good, smooth running system. And that's as simple as what this international standard does. What are the key drivers? Some facts and figures of the benefits of the ISO 9001. Sorry, just checking time. 64% of respondents saw a reduction in a defect rate. 73% attributed some improvement in customer satisfaction. And 67% said ISO 9000 was a catalyst for rethinking the way the business was run, which is very important about this system. It's something I wish I learned right out of college, where I could have known why they have a quality policy in place to make the place better, and I might not have fought it so much. 72% said ISO 9000 was an opportunity to innovate, make you think about your process. How can we do it better? It's also more easily applied to service industry. One of the main changes identified in the new version is transition guidance. ISO 9001-2008, which is the old version, used to use product to include product services of hardware. Feedback initiated the new version indicated the service industry continued to have difficulty with the application of ISO 9001, the old version. More easily applied to service industry again. Not using the word service further complicated the standard for these users. The word product has been replaced by products and services, and additional emphasis on strategic direction of the organization. Write procedures for the organization, not for the third-party auditors. When you're writing your procedure based on the 9001 and you're going through each step, don't write it for the auditor that's going to come around and point out your possible failures. Write it for your procedure, your process. You have to go out there, talk to the operators, and go, how do you do it? Do you do it safely? Do you do it this way? Is it the best way to do it? And then just keep rechecking those procedures. Do not be afraid to make changes to your processes. What worked 10 years ago may not be what you need now in your organization. Again, I like to keep saying about getting involved all employees, ask all the users. Guy works his way up to the chain of command. He's now the president of the company. He's sitting in the office, and they're talking about a procedure of a machine he used to run. The machine doesn't run that way anymore. So get the guys on the floor in there and talk. Talk the language of your management. Focus procedures on the language of the user and not ISO speak. I think I would have been much more enthused and involved years ago if it wasn't for the ISO speak. It was a lot of terms that I didn't understand at a younger age. And it could really affect how much people get involved. When do you write your procedures? Compliance standards do not prescribe the level of detail to which instructions are written. ISO 9001 does not require that you follow your procedures once written, or require that you do follow your procedure once written, sorry. Example, an organization can choose to have 7 levels of required approvals for documents. It is not an ISO requirement. Whatever you write, whatever you make in the process is what you're going to get audited on. Don't make a 15-page procedure when it could be 1 page, because that's what you're going to be audited on, and that's where you're going to fail. And you're going to make it too hard for the operators. Procedures are required when a lack of procedure could adversely affect quality. Procedures can be supplemented with other information to support the business management system. So it's not just a procedure. It could be, this is how you do the job. But then if you turn it around, this is how you safely do the job. This is my EHS procedure. You can have 2 different departments sort of combined together. It will help eliminate turnover and training and turnover. So you get a new guy comes into the building, he could just open the book and figure out how to do his job. Yes, he's going to need hands-on training, but he can actually read how to do his job. Customer provided procedures. A customer may want a certain exact way in other documents. When do you write procedures? Gather as much information as possible about all the users, determine your users' training levels. Maybe you have a high turnover in this one position. You need really thick, long procedures to teach them how to do it because the turnover rate is really high in that area. Determine frequent tasks, low level of detail required. Infrequent tasks, high level of detail required. Write for the user with the least experience. Write for it simply. Don't put it all ISO speak in there. Avoid painting yourself into a corner. That is the problem we find with ISO people with ISO at their companies. You're using too specific of a procedure. You must do this. You must have a meeting. It must be a specific color. You must use a black ink pen. Details, instructions for computer applications, field by field. You must do this, that. That's where you're going to back yourself into a corner, and during an audit, you're going to have findings. And an audit, I mean, it could be an internal audit. You're not following the exact procedure. That's because the procedure is a little too specific, and it's not required. No required quality manual. The 2015 revision of ISO 9001 has removed the requirement of a quality manual, something that has been needed historically if your organization has wanted to achieve and maintain certification. That's been removed. However, hang on, a quality manual could be just as important as an employee handbook, something you can hand a new employee as an introduction to your business model. New employee starts. Here's your employee handbook. These are the do's and don'ts. Don't touch the pumpkins out back. We're all good. And this is your quality manual. This tells you all about the product, what we make, how we make it, why we make it. And it's the same thing as a quality policy. So even though it's not required, I would still highly recommend it. And that's it. Ray is going to come up here and answer some questions that we have.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you, Ray.
No worries. Do we have any questions, Chelsea?
Yes. How often should a company review their quality management system?
The good thing about the 2015 standard now is that they don't put time to it. There's no calendar brackets around things. What we normally suggest to our people is to actually review it at least once a year. Under the current requirements, your registration, your certificate is a 3-year cycle. So every 3 years you're getting a full audit for your recertification. In between those cycles, you have surveillance audits by your registration company that come in and look at parts of your system. What we're suggesting is that at least once a year you review your own system to do your internal audits. So it's always better if you find the problem with your system or a place to improve your system than having the registrar come in and find an issue. It's a lot more cumbersome to get answers to them than it is to answer yourself internally and improve your system.
Thanks, Ray.
Uh-huh.
The next question is there a particular time frame that a company needs to address a non-conformance per ISO 9001?
Again, that falls under the 2015 standard. Again, they don't put definite brackets around a time. It's always they actually say in a planned manner or at certain intervals, or they kind of give you a broad scope, so you're not tied into an actual calendar date to do things. So it depends on the size of the company, or it depends on the size of the problem that you may see or the improvement you might want to make. But there's no definitive timeline to do that, if that answers the question, I hope.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
The next question is, apart from a dedicated quality manager, what should other members of leadership do to maintain an effective quality management system?
Quality manager right now, if you look back in the older systems, the predecessors to 2015, you would see that where a quality manager was called, they would call it within the standard a quality representative, or somebody that would actually manage the system. Nowadays, they've taken that requirement out. The quality rep is no longer required. You technically don't have to have a quality manager, actually. What they are inserting now is more emphasis on the leadership. If you look under Section 5 of the standard, that really brackets the leadership commitment to the quality management system. You'll also see what's happening within the system itself is they're starting to remove the word quality and starting to use management system more and more. So it's really becoming, it's becoming an overall holistic approach to running your business nowadays. So the needs of the management or your leadership, depending on the size of the company, of course. You could have a single person running a company, or it could be a quite large management group. Their commitment to actually running the business and running the management system is paramount within the new standard. Your registrar, when they're coming in to review your system and look at how you're running things, will go to the management now and ask them how things are going. Management has to come up with your quality objectives, has to send that out to the company-wide, what those are. Has to put bounds around your scope of work, around the context of the organization. The more this standard evolves here, the more it's getting into a whole business management system, so the management really has to be more involved in it from a standard standpoint, and actually running the actual certificate and keeping the business running. That's
Okay, great, thank you. I have two other questions. Can you please recap the benefits of an ISO certification?
recap the benefits of a ISO certification.
Yes.
It shows other companies that they're places that you may be doing business with, that you have a repeatable process. That's one thing. It gives you a world. The standard now is worldwide, so you're speaking the same language within the whole world. You're operating to the same sheet of music, if you will. That's some of the major advantages of having a system and being certified.
And the last one, does having an auditor other than your internal auditor or registrar come in to do an unofficial audit? And if so, are they required to share findings with your registrar?
So having somebody else come in to do an audit on the system, that would I come from the defense world, so I would take it from that into things, that they're usually within your customer will sometimes put stipulations within your agreement that they can come in and check your system out, or audit, if you will, audit your business. So what you're looking at there is, if you're operating under a certified standard as ISO 9001:2015, you can show them that certificate. That gives them a little more confidence in that you're operating to a set of procedures and processes. But you also have to be aware that you have to also operate to the agreement between you and the customer, which is in section 8.2 of the standard, that you have to come to terms on what you're going to produce for them, or a service you're going to provide them. They may have their own set of conditions. So they can come in, and through an agreement that they will look at your system and audit to that, and any audit to the standard and any other stipulations that they may have within your contract. And of course I would hope they would share that information with you, but that would be an agreement that you would have between you and the customer. And that's it. Okay, thank you for your time today, and if you have any questions, please contact NEPIRC. We're always here to help. Thank you.